Suspend your disbelief, your rational, analytic mind, just for a minute, just for the length of this podcast. What if all I am about to tell you is the truth? What if the information you will be provided is from a divine source? Just for this time, I am your Axis Mundi. Consider this podcast your channel, your second opinion. When I do a reading, something larger than myself is working through me. So ask what you wish. This is your channel, your doorway to the divine.
Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you from wherever in the world you may be listening to this podcast. And congratulations, you've made it this far. This will be episode 9, Embodiment of John's Tarot Soul Awakened series. Now, if you've made it this far, I want to explain a little bit to you what we've been doing in these last 10 weeks, 9 weeks, I guess, for right now, is I've been taking you through an awakening. It's not only an awakening, an initiation, an ancient initiation that used to be in all cultures, which we do not have words for in our current culture. However, it continues to exist in different forms. It exists in the 12 steps of the 12-step programs. It exists in Carl Jung's Red Book. It existed in my life and came through my life. And what I've done with this podcast is I've taken you through the steps of initiation. That's what we've done. Spiritual initiation. This used to be done by all ancient cultures. It is not done by our current culture. And the outcome has been really dramatic. A polarization, isolation, people outsourcing their thinking, and a real stop of spiritual development in human beings. Now, I'm not saying this podcast will awaken everybody, and I'm not even saying everybody needs to be awakened. I'm saying this is the path. If you choose to follow it, that's great. And what this podcast is about today is what happens if you followed it. What happens after you become awakened a little bit, spiritually awakened, kind of tuned into that new paradigm of thinking. I want you to know, as I've gone through this podcast, I've been going through it myself, even though I've gone through it on the macro scale. I've been going through it more on a micro scale as I've been doing this podcast, and it's been quite profound for me. I hope if you take it back to episode 1 and follow it all the way through, it'll be profound for you too. But you have to do the work. And I use tarot as a tool. I'm not saying tarot. I'm not asking anybody to believe in tarot. I think you can more look at how I use tarot as more like Rorschach blots in deep therapy. You know, they have deep symbolism in our lives. And how does that symbolism relate to you? So they're tools, psychological tools to help you deal with this new awakening, this new paradigm of thinking. And I will really encourage you, if you haven't done it yet, to get yourself a tarot deck and go ahead and start this program from the beginning. I don't know if you need to read tarot. If you draw the cards and you look up the meanings, that'll be sufficient, I think, to get you what you need in order to take you through this process. So this week, I've prepared a little video, as I always do, on embodiment. What does it mean to be, after you've done the work and you've had a spiritual awakening? What does that mean? How does that manifest in your life? Okay, and after this, I'll go ahead and I'll do a little tarot reading. I have an embodiment tarot reading for you. I give away a free tarot reading with every episode. Okay, I'll see you at the tarot reading. Episode 9, Embodiment, Living the Work, from John's Tarot Soul Awakening series. Up to this point in the series, we've explored inner transformation, the ego, the shadow, the persona, the inner opposite, synchronicity, and death and rebirth. But individuation does not end with insight. At some point, the work must leave the realm of ideas and enter the body of relationships and daily life. This episode is about embodiment, what it means when the work we've been doing internally begins to live through us. What embodiment is. Embodiment is not a new identity. It is not spiritual performance. It is not becoming enlightened. Embodiment means our values show up in how we live. Our insights shape our choices. Our growth becomes visible in ordinary moments. The psyche begins to settle into the body. This is quieter than awakening and far more demanding. Why this stage is often overlooked. Many people mistake insight for completion. But Jung was clear. Individuation is not about knowing more. It's about becoming more whole. Without embodiment, insight becomes inflation, spirituality becomes abstraction, and growth becomes disconnected from life. Embodiment is where integrity is tested. Signs the work is embodying. You may notice changes like less reactivity, clearer boundaries, slower speech, deeper listening, reduced need to convince, greater tolerance for uncertainty, compassion without rescuing. These changes are often noticed by others before we recognize them ourselves. Tarot and embodiment. The tarot reflects embodiment through grounded archetypes. The key cards, the Hermit, living by inner light. Temperance, integration and balance. The Empress, embodiment, nourishment, life. The World, wholeness lived, not proclaimed. These cards do not announce transformation, they express it. Recovery and embodiment. In recovery, embodiment often looks like showing up consistently, taking responsibility, making amends quietly, living within limits, practicing humility daily. This is where spiritual insight becomes trustworthy. Each week I give you a tarot spread to help examine the material we have just discussed. This week's tarot spread is called the Embodiment Tarot Spread. It is done in a straight line from left to right. Card 1, what has been integrated? What inner work is now genuinely stable, no longer effortful or aspirational? This is already embodied. Card 2, how it lives in the body. How this integration shows up physically, emotionally, and energetically in daily life. This card often speaks through posture, rhythm, health, or pace. Card 3, where grounding is still needed. The area that still requires care, patience, or realistic limits. This is not failure, it's maintenance. Card 4, relational experience. How this embodiment shows up in relationship with others. Look for balance, boundaries, and presence, not performance. Card 5. What quietly supports embodiment over time? Often something simple, repeatable, and unglamorous. Why this layout works? It's in a horizontal line, which equals lived time, not transformation. There's no vertical hierarchy, which means there's no inflation. No future card, which means embodiment is now. No hidden cards, nothing unconscious driving the process. Easy to return to because it's maintenance, not growth. This spread visually says, the work is here, now live it. In closing, living the work. Embodiment is not dramatic. It is faithful. It is the slow work of living what we have come to understand. In the final episode, we'll explore how this embodied life naturally turns toward service, not as obligation, but as expression. Thank you for walking this path with me. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little video for this week. We've got one more video to do, and that one will be on return. In all the initiation formats from the ancient Greeks to today. There is a process of return, and it's a closure of the circle. And that's what we're going to do next week is return, and that'll be the final episode. And we'll talk about what I'm going to do after the series after that episode. So we're going to do the Embodiment Tarot spread. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. I should do it. I always shuffle the cards in this manner. This is just what I'm used to. How you shuffle the cards is up to you. There's no right or wrong way. This is just what I do. Give us the embodiment spirit, the embodiment tarot spread. My first card, what inner work is now genuinely stable. Second card, how this integration shows up physically. Third card, area that requires care. Often I would say under construction. The fourth card, how this embodiment shows up in my relationship with others. And then the fifth card, what quietly supports embodiment over time. So let's just take a look and see what we get. My first part, the embodiment tarot spread. Send me an email. Let me know how you're doing with this. Let me know if this has touched your life at all. All right. What's the first card for the embodiment tarot spread? I'll cut the deck. So my first card, what inner work is now generally stable with me? That's a good one for me. That is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is a good one for me because I'm always trying to run off half-cocked, excited to start new adventures, excited to start new life without thinking them through. But that's already settled. I'm already started off. I'm already moving into a new life, a new paradigm of thought, and that's what also another meaning for the Knight of Swords. A new adventure of life is about to begin. So it has already begun with me, and it's already embodied, and I just need to kind of hang on. That's a good way to say it. And don't complicate things as I move forward. And any new plans that I'm going to make or new projects, I need to think them through carefully and clearly and not just run off half-cocked, which I think I've learned to do that through this process that we've worked on. My next card, how this integration shows up physically, emotionally, and energetically in daily life. This card often speaks to posture, rhythm, health, or pace. Let's see what we got. Ooh, the Death card. The Death card rarely means death. It rarely means physical death. How this shows up physically, emotionally, and energetically. An old part of me is dead. An old part of me has died. And there's a new structure being built. You see this guy's a skeleton sitting on the white horse. That is a structure for a new life. So this integration shows that a new life is being built on the bones of the old one, on the remaining skeletal remains of the old life. A new life is being born, a new life is being constructed. And this is how this integration shows up physically and emotionally. So I've already had some experiences with that this morning. I have an increased bullshit sensitivity built into me now. It's just because I see the processes people are going through. I see, and I could tell when they're bullshitting. I could just see it more clearly because I see where they're at in that process. And that's one of the new things that is showing up for me emotionally and energetically in my daily life. The center card, the area that still requires care, patience, or realistic limits. This is not failure, it's maintenance. So under construction might be an easier way to say it. The Ace of Pentacles, very appropriate, because the Ace of Pentacles, what we see here is a hand holding a pentacle, but what we also see in the background, we see a path leading through hedges and mountains in the distance. And it talks about a journey. A journey, it mostly talks about an economic journey and the ability to stay on the path. an ability to stay focused, an ability to move forward on the path to the mountains of higher knowledge and a higher sense of self, I want to say, in the distance, which is represented by the mountains. And that is the area that still, for me, requires patience, realistic limits. This is not failure, it's maintenance, because I'm just starting on this new journey, and I'm just at the beginning. How this embodiment shows up in relationship with others. Look for balance, boundaries, and presence, not performance. So for me, how does embodiment show up in relationships? Oh, that's pretty cool. Temperance. In the temperance card, you see this angel. For one thing, he has his one foot on the ground and 1 foot on the water. So he's testing the waters. He's seeing how this new thing feels. How does this embodiment show up? I'm testing. I know I have a new perception. I know I have a new paradigm. And how is this showing up with others? And I'm testing the waters. And then you see the 2 cups where he's holding cups and he's pouring the fluid from one cup into the next cup. It's not going from top to bottom. It's going from bottom to top. So he's going from a lower to a higher level of living, of thought, a higher paradigm. And that is that's what the embodiment is about. You're going from a lower to a higher relationship. So how does this embodiment show up in relationship with others? You're testing the waters. I'm being careful. And I'm looking for balance. You see, he's balanced on the ground and on the water. Boundaries, presence, not performance. And I'm going from a lower to a higher. And you see in the background, you see a mountain and a path, again, relating to a higher way of thought, a higher way of living, a higher perceptual basis. All right, what's the last card? What quietly supports embodiment over time? Often something simple, repeatable, and unglamorous. What supports this embodiment over time? The Emperor. I'm doing this a little bit different this week. I'm holding the cards up to the camera. The Emperor. The Emperor is somebody who he's able. You see in the background there are mountains and dry spaces, indicating the Emperor is able to make difficult journeys. And the Emperor is able to regulate himself quietly. He knows what it takes to make these long, difficult journeys. And he realizes that he is the determining factor of how things will manifest in his future. And he's taking control of the situation, taking control of his emotions, taking control of his thought, taking control of his emotional life, and not allowing himself to be misdirected by television and characters on television and things of that nature. He's able to do these things on his own, and he is going to make the decision on how that is going to move forward in his life. And that is my little thing on embodiment. I hope you've enjoyed this journey. I hope you enjoyed this little tarot reading today. If you would like to contact me, I could be contacted at my website, john@johnstarot.net is my email. You can contact me there. I'm on Facebook. I do a little weekly podcast on Tuesdays. I think I got the final episode to finish next week, and I'm just going to cool down after that. I don't think I'm going to be doing any videos for a little while. I got a vacation coming up, and I think I'm just going to be doing the podcast. So after episode 10, just look for me on the podcast, and I put that up on that goes up on YouTube, and it's on Apple Podcasts, and it's up on Spotify. You can find it there. And you can always find it on my webpage, because I'll continue to put it there. I'm also going to read as I cool down from this period of intense initiation. I'm going to redesign my webpage. I'm going to build a new computer. I'm exercising. I'm doing those types of things. So those are the things I suggest that you start doing too, reintegrating into your life. A little exercise, reintegrating normal life. I will have an interesting podcast for this week, and I talk a little bit more. I think I'll talk about initiation, how this has been a process of initiation. And so I invite you to listen to the podcast for this week. So until next week, be careful, be cool, be kind, have courage, find faith, and I will talk to you all on Tuesday. Okay, have a great week. Bye-bye.